Just going to set up recording here. So I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day. It's a busy time of season, but we thought it was kind of timely to do this Twilight session, and kind of important to do it over a computer rather than in a field, because there's some specific data that I think Hugh wants to kind of go over and look at. But really, this is coming out of some of the weather station project that's been happening over the last couple of years. And also, really the association's focused a lot of our research and with a lot of our partners in this area over the last couple of years to try and enhance not only pest management timing, but understand when plants are emerging using that weather station data. So Hugh's been doing a lot of work in this area over the last couple of years, and those of you that are following on the blog can see how he's been tracking some of this growing degree model data and correlating it to plant emergence and different phenological steps of the plant. So we're right in the middle of it. So we thought it'd be great for Hugh to talk about this. So Hugh, go ahead.
Yeah, perfect, XP. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Today, I think we take another good day to be inside. So as Pete mentioned, the weather station program and the GDD and timing of our pesticide application has been the focus over the last 3 years since I started this job. And I think, well, this year, I think we finally get to a very sweet spot. I'm pretty comfortable, start to kind of give you a summarize of what's going on and what can we expect for coming in the rest of coming season. So today, I kind of picked the title as, timely pesticide application in viable reproduction, but I don't know how much time I'm going to spend on this topic. It's just, I think over the so many seasons, I've been getting into the industry more and more. So there are a lot of things to talk about. So to avoid me spending time like running late, so I'm just going to keep myself on track with 4 topics I want to mention today. The first one is just give you a quick update on the weather station and that program, which is ended last year, and also some of the growing degree days work we are doing over the last two years. The second thing I want to mention to you, which is the focus of this year and the focus of today's presentation, is to show how to access weather data and the GDD calculator. And we have very, very new platform which just released last couple of months, and some of the function that we already put in use, and I hope I can show you guys today. That's why I think it's important for us to sit in front of our computer so I can show you all the links and all the website and kind of play around. Because some of the feedback I got over the last couple of presentations over the seasons is I only have screenshot. I didn't really show the live of the links or website, so it's hard for you guys to follow, and I appreciate that feedback. So today I'm just going to show you a bunch of the links and kind of go to those websites with you and show you where you can start. The third point, I kind of want to show you one of the example. I work with one grower using his weather station data, and then kind of follow. He's kind of working with me to give me all the data on which day he put his pre-emergency herbicide, which day he did his first bright spray, and kind of put that along with his GDD numbers. And it's kind of interesting. I will show you in a second. I think this grower is quite happy. I hope so. The last one, I kind of want to give you a quick overview and update this year's weather and then the crop development. So the last point is kind of give you a summary of what's going on with this year's weather and our crop. So when we talk about the timing, really there's only 2 important timings we typically would care a lot, and because it's happening in the springtime. So because weather is changing more frequently in the springtime than summer, so we tend to put a lot of focus on these 2 areas, which is plant emergency and the back stages for mononia and bloom, etc. So I will just get into the weather station. So when we talk about farm weather station, there are many stages in the province. And there are some private stations. So when we talk about weather station, on-farm weather station, I specifically refer to the weather station assistance program, which some of you participate over the last couple of years. So I think the whole idea behind this program and why we bring in so many weather stations into the province, into our fields, I guess all comes down to we want to be smart at farming. We want to be able to understand our climates, especially we have some microclimates in different production regions. We also want to understand the weather and climate change. Well, how it's doing to our agriculture production in Nova Scotia, and most importantly, we want to know the timing of our crop development and when to do our management. So that's kind of whole idea behind that. And then we finally kind of get to the sweet spot in 2023. We are able to show everything that has been done and what we want to focus for this year and then in the future. So I'll give you a quick overview with the kind of like 3 steps where I see the program delivery and then the KDD, how we do the extension work in this area. So in 2021, the program was launched. And then so the focus at that time, we want to introduce the program to you guys and to encourage growers to apply. And we have pretty good successful year in 2021, 22 weather stations are installed in wild blueberry fields. Moving to last year, 2022, we still try to encourage growers to apply, but we start switching our energy and resources to show you guys how to access your weather data and use those data. And we also get some good experiments and feedback from growers who have those 22 stations from 2021. They kind of share with myself and also with their peer growers. So that kind of give a lot of confidence to the industry and growers to pursue weather station in their field. So that in total now we have 55 stations installed in the field. And last year, we also started showing some initial data and some interesting idea we want to do for this year. So getting into 2023 now, and today, the focus is on accessing weather data and GDD and other tools through the farm data tools platform. So really now we are getting into the spot is you guys have the data, we develop the tools. We want to make sure you understand it and you use it because they are awesome tools. And I will show you in a second. And continually, we will continue to do our research around GDD and to understand our crop better. So just a quick slide. I showed this many times. That's the final numbers of the weather stations we have in the province. 100 stations in Nova Scotia, in agricultural lands. We have 55 in wild blueberry fields, which is pretty nice. So this graph and what I just showed you the last slide about 3 steps, it's just a good example. Tells me how an industry or a sector can work together. All of us can work together to pursue a program and make sure we put our energy to apply and make sure we can use the money that government is putting out. So I think we are doing very good in this area. I'm so very proud of the numbers we have and very helpful this year. Okay. So next step I want to show is accessing weather station data, and there are many ways. But I try to keep it simple. So it comes down to what kind of devices you have. What do you use those data for? Do you need live data or do you need a record data? If you are a researcher, it might just need the summary data for a season. And if you are in the field a lot, there are some apps you can use, and I'm going to target each individual one in a second. And like it all depends on what you need. So I'll just open the website quickly and show you all 4 methods there. So usually I like to show growers. Let me show my page. I probably need you to tell me. Are you able to see my browser there?
Yep, we're good.
Okay. So I know you cannot see. So the first method I list there is through the Perennia's wild blueberry blog, and because of this blog, if you go to the weather page. Oh, it's kind of slow. If you go to the weather page, it shows you a very nice map of Nova Scotia with all 55 stations on the map. It's a little bit slow here. Oops. Oh, here we go. The internet is a bit slow here. Anyways, so if you go to the weather and find all 55 stations, you have all the details you need, including where they are, the station ID, and also a live data link. So that live data link, if you click on it, it will bring you to the live data from that weather station. That will be the first place I would encourage you to start with, because that will give you a very good idea how many stations we have in wild blueberries, where they are, and if you need to find their information, they're all there. And if you keep scrolling down, I have all 5 stations named in different counties. So this place is just a good start point for everybody if you want to get into that. The second place I would encourage you to use is the Cape Breton Maisonette. And the nice thing about this website is it has all the weather stations that you can find in the province. So I only list 55 in blueberry fields, but you might have a field that is not around any 55 station, and you need to find another one to track your own. So that will be another nice spot for you to do. And the third method I kind of mentioned, I don't know if are you still seeing my PowerPoint here?
Yep, we're back on the PowerPoint.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, the third method I would say is to download the Weather Link app from your either App Store or Google Play Store. That would give you that quick access anytime you want and save those stations for your management or even for your own personal daily life. That's still very, very useful. The last one, and I will save the last one for later, is the Farm Data Tools platform that has, a lot of great tools there, and I will show you that in a second. Okay, so over the years and in this year, what I see how those weather station data can be useful are from those 4 areas, because those are 4 areas I tend to spend a lot of time try to understand. So the first one definitely is the on-farm live data and the forecast. This one might not be as useful to me as for you guys. It's probably more useful for growers. You guys can track it and make sure you are in a good day for spraying or any activities you are doing. The second one is to do GDD calculation and to do the blueberry growth stage prediction. With that, I think that would be the focus for this platform. And because we have all the data from the station over the years, so we'll be able to understand and record everything we have from the station and to interpret those data. If something comes up, then we'll be able to go back and see, hey, I think last year was dry or it's wet. That's why we're getting more linear or some other stuff. So it's just a nice thing that we have those data, and you will start seeing why I said this is important, because ideally we want to be able to see, say 5 years trend or 10 years trend in one of the field or one of the station, so we can be better understanding what's going on with the condition. And then the next one is frost risk assessment. So this is coming up because we are getting another frost alert today and this evening. So this is another useful side of this weather station data. I was able to go into every single station every morning when I see there might be a frost or some low temperature in the area. And then if I notice any low temperature from any station, I'll probably give a call or text some growers in the area. And we also use some of our soil moisture and temperature data and rainfall data that we haven't really know how we're going to bring in those data into our management and industry, but we are working on this. We hopefully use everything we can. That's the goal. Okay, and the next one is growing degree days modeling. So the reason why we want to push this is we want to utilize the weather station data we collect, and we won't be able to predict crop development and guide field management schedule. So as I say, based on our management system, 2-year production cycle, and where we are and what we have, sprout year plant emergence GDDs and crop year backstage development GDDs tend to be the 2 ones that we are focusing on now. And I will show you in a second what we found this year. So I'm going to start with the plant emergency GDDs. So this year, I know Scott is continually working on this to put out a couple monitoring plots and see to validate and collect more data. So see if we need to change those emergency data. But for now, we are feeling pretty comfortable, and I will show you the numbers we tell you guys to use, which you probably already see that from the blog. But I personally, and talk to many growers, I think this GDD number, I can probably scroll down quickly here. I think this GDD number, as I showed in the table here, plant emerging star, those number, I feel pretty comfortable and confident is what is representing what is really happening in the field. Okay, but something we think we need to consider to add into the work or any research in the future is we found the winter months soil temperature also have something to do with our plant development in the winter time, and also based on field location where you are, if you are inland or if you are near water, especially if you are near bed of fundy, you tend to get more warm air through in the beginning of the season, so you tend to have early development than other inland fields. But once the summer hits, then those fields close to water is going to slow down. Just some of those things that, you know, kind of give us interest to look into more factors that will affect our crop development. And also the April to May soil temperature is also another big factor that we need to consider. Also rainfall. Another interesting thing I was chatting with Scott is we kind of start using some of the old wisdoms of using any nearby plants, like shrubs or trees or any plants in the field that kind of tells us, okay, I think blueberry emergence is about to start. And you can see what I mean in the next slide. Okay, so nobody, and I didn't really notice that, and I think that's probably true. I was told by Scott about this point. So normally you will start to see like lily of the valley in the fields, in the sprout field or in the woods first, and then you will start seeing bunchberry showing up, and then a couple days or a week after, you guys start to seeing blueberry start to emerge. The other thing about like a true emergency in blueberry fields, in your sprout fields, is looking for those any like say wild flowering shrubs or trees this time of year, serviceberry or anything that's in flowering right now, tend to be a good sign to show, okay, your field or your region has a pretty good percentage of plant emergence, and that kind of tells me, okay, you should know is you are getting too late, or you probably shouldn't consider apply any pre-emergency herbicide, especially Chikara, Ignite. Those herbicides tend to damage the crops more than Valpar or Spartan. So yeah, that's something that we think, you know, as we study this project and study our area, it's just so many interesting factors to consider and to put into consideration. Okay, so the next, so in terms of this year, as I just mentioned, we feel pretty confident and pretty happy with those numbers. So what we start with, we kind of giving a recommendation to growers once your station or your area hit 150 GDD and before 200 GDD, that's a perfect and golden window and safe window for you to apply any pre-emergent herbicide. And I also, some fields I check this year, definitely people are getting maybe late, but the blueberry plant emergence is already starting. But for some herbicides such as, you know, like your Valpar or your Spartan, if you're really running out of time and you really want to put something on, like we feel like anywhere between or below 10 to 15%, you are still in an okay place to put those herbicides on. But comparing to something like Chikara Ignite, really you need to get it on right before 200 GDD or even below 5% emergency, or the damage will occur to the blueberry plants. But I don't want to say this too much because I still like you guys to stay in a safe spot to put things on. And you can probably feel why I say that when I show that example from the other growers. It just, when we try to have, you know, all your sprout fields pre-emergency apply before emergency start, and you have the Pro9 or some like monolinear bright application you need to do, we tend to have these two kind of in the same timing before, but now because the weather station and GDD we have in observation, we see you can potentially have your pre-emergency herbicide apply before you get into your bright season, which will, you know, ease your mind and be better at managing your fields. So just a couple of thoughts here. And people will ask, you know, I know you guys probably applied pre-emergence herbicide a couple years ago or many years ago, like after May or in mid-May, which I don't have any experience because I only started this job or start blueberry work back to 2012, so I didn't really know what's going on before then. But I think this is I don't think this is too early. For this year, people kind of question me, okay, if I put it on around 100, 150, is it going to be too early? But if you think about over the winter months, we have pretty warm fall and long fall with high soil temperature. So a lot of us grasses and weeds, especially chip sorrel, are kind of still growing up to end of December, beginning of January. So when you get into March, April, we'll try to apply something around 150 GDD. You actually have a lot of like emerging weeds for you to target. But it can be different from season to season. So we still want to continue this method, giving you a start point and a safe point to stop applying herbicide, which I think works pretty good in my opinion. Okay. And the next one we have on the go is to validate those F2 GDD numbers we studied last year. And I will show you in the second what we found this year. Luckily, we just finished this phase of F2 GDDs on Monday, so I have some initial data to share here. Okay, so 2022 and 2023 F2 GDD. So we are still under susceptible period of monolinear infection time. So because most of our fields are around tight cluster stage, early flower, or some of the early field already getting to maybe early starting of a bloom. So that's where we are right now. Okay, so 2022 and 2023 data is here. In 2022, all our study site are kind of around Colchester area. So that's what we found in 2022, around 40% F2. You're looking around 173, and getting to 2023, very happy to see 5%, 10%. They are still really similar, but it's only a 20% and 40%. Those different, and once you get to 60%, 80%, they look around again very close. And I still need to do some thinking about that. And it doesn't mean that 173 or what we found last year doesn't work anymore. Just because last year we started in Colchester and now we are in Cumberland, there's some thinking or justification I need to do here, but I still feel like those numbers makes me quite happy and comfortable. I think something we can do to make this number better. And my own personal thinking about why there's difference between 20%, 40% versus 5, 10, and 60 and 80 is I kind of studied one of the station and that's kind of my initial thinking. I don't know if that's 100% true. Some people are online here. You can jump in. What I found, around 5 to 10% F2, you are in the beginning of stage, where in this stage the temperature increase very fast. So it kind of pushing everything kind of grow fast. And once you get into 20 and 40% F2, you can see the lines come almost very flat. So things are a little bit moving a little bit slow. So any fields that receive any additional heat, additional warm air, and additional I don't know, whatever factors there, it will make things different from field to field. That's kind of what I'm thinking. But once you get into 60 to 80% F2, you can see the lines start to increase quite dramatically again. And when things are moving fast, you don't really able to tell like a big difference between fields and fields. But anyways, I'm not going to talk too much about it because everything I'm talking right now just the thinking over the last 2 days. So very hopeful to get into this and hopefully bring you guys more confirmed information in winter meetings here. Okay, so since we are on the F2 and monolinear topic, I just want to give you a quick update where we are in terms of all our crop fields stages. So this is one of my favorite map now. So everything you see, the green and the red dots represent weather stations in blueberry field. And where you see, I'm going to bring my laser pens here. So where you see the black portion here, they are all blueberry fields in Nova Scotia. So if I go to the next slide, the next couple slides, I'm trying to show you what I think, in the springtime, I would classify as early field and where they are right now. So what I found anywhere in South Shore counties, so typically Peter Van Dyke's field or early fields in Cumberland, so somewhere like Harvey River, Newville Lake, Kurt Hill, Diligent River Flat, or anywhere you are close to the Bay of Fundy. We typically think those are late field, but in the spring, April, early May, they are no later than other inland fields. They are actually quite advanced. That's what I found from West Advocate, from Diligent River. Feel like they are very, very similar to Kurt Hill or Harvey River there. And where they are right now in these two areas, they are mostly the early flower stage and a bit of bloom. That's where I found in Harvey River, and I'm sure down in the South Shore counties they are more advanced. The second group I tend to think in Haines County and somewhere like Dean and Camden and Truro area, Greenfield, etc. That's the kind of next areas you will start to getting more plant development, and where these areas are around a tie cluster stage, which is that stage here, and a little bit on the early flower stage. The next group are around, the central Cumberland, Colchester, and a little bit on the Cumberland areas. This area right now, I think, is around the tie cluster and a little bit over 50-60% of F2. The next group we have is around, some late field in Pictou and Antigonish. This area, looking at probably a week and a half later than Colchester and Cumberland, where this area you are getting 40% or about 40% F2 now, but you are still around the tie classes stage. I didn't see any like early flower or any bloom yet in Pictou and Antigonish. And the last group, of course, the Cape Breton is always going to be a little bit later, or any fields in Cumberland that is typically on the high ground is tends to be also slower, almost the same as Cape Breton. So, and for Cape Breton growers in that area, you're still looking at 35-40% F2 now, but you are very, very close. So this week's weather will push Cape Breton fields to you guys start need to monitor your weather there. Okay, so that's kind of where I think all the crop fields are in the province. We just finished the F2 GDD part. We are moving into validate percentage of bloom GDD this Thursday. So it should be interesting to see if we are getting some close number to where we have from the past year. After the bloom stage, as I mentioned before, we are continuing into first bloom and up to maybe 50% or 60% ripening to help with our harvesting and insect management. So I'll mention those findings in a meeting. Okay, so finally get to the main point is how to access weather station data and the GDD calculator. So I want to introduce and show you the Farm Data Tools platform. Before we get into that, so there are a couple of ways I share on how to attempt GDD, and I think still worthwhile for me to kind of show that quickly. If you go to the blog again here, so the first method I would recommend is going to the Perennia new Farm Data Tools platform, which we can talk about this in a second. The second method, a lot of people are using it now, is the GDD and phenology tracker under the blog. So in the blog, you can see a lot of background information. Like here, all the important numbers there. And here you will find one of a map I kind of show here. It has 13 stations. And if you are lucky, if you are in one of the stations that we pick for the season, because we need to pick some stations for research and extension and for myself to understand what's going on with the plant development in the province. If you're lucky, if we report one of them during the season, you can just keep forwarding that without going to other areas. But I think you should start to kind of switching yourself back to the Farm Data Tools, because I can guarantee that your station or your area is going to get reported every season. And the other methods, I kind of like it, and I encourage any growers who have weather station, or if you pick any weather station of interest, either from Environmental Canada or from your personal, if you want, you can download this Excel sheet, and I'm just going to bring my laser pen again. Here is a Excel sheet that if you download it, keep track of your own farm, your own station. A couple of seasons after, you have a very nice data set to interpret and understand your fields. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to run into this Perennia's new farm data tools platform. So what this is really a place to host any farm management tools and apps. So to make everybody's life a little bit easier, so you don't need to run into every places to find information. And in order for me to show you what to do, I need to go back to my browser again. 1 second here. So if you just go into the link, what you're going to find right now, you have 3 tools. One is the farm weather map. That's the one that we are going to use today. And for the future, I think this is probably the only one that will be very, very beneficial to you guys. The Palm Bright, that's not for us, that's for the apple growers. And we just have a new Nova Scotia soil map in there, and I will show you in a second. I didn't really have time to play around it, but I think it's really cool. Okay, so if you are a new user, if you never get into this site, I encourage you to go to the farm weather map right on top of the bar here. So you're going to see some introduction about the farm weather map and what some resources to help you to understand. And also there's 2 tutorial video that will tells you how to set up your account and how to access everything I'm going to say in the next couple of minutes. So pretend you already create your account, which I'm going to log in with my account. Okay, so here's my account. And if you get into the account, go to the farm weather map or the farm weather map, you're going to see all 100 stations in Nova Scotia. So whatever number shows there, that's not a GDD. That's the current live air temperature from that weather station. So just careful. So if I just pick one as an example, let's pick West Advocate here. So here it shows you, okay, you have all the live data, temperature, wind speed, humidity, etc. And if you are interested to know the GDD for West Advocate, what you need to do is just simply enter the base temperature as 0. And you always want to pick start date as April 1st, because that's where we preset our GDD model. And the end day, always just pick the day we are on today. So that gives you 310 GDD, which is pretty high, and it's almost the same as fields down in the South Shore counties. So I can't get that from other people. Oh, West Advocate usually late, but surprisingly they are not. And I don't know if just this year or it happened every single season, because when I talk to growers in West Advocate, the impression I got from them is they are looking probably around a week and a half, almost 2 weeks earlier than their normal year. So that just shows me like this is. And at first, when I saw the number was very, very high on West Advocate station, I almost questioned if the station is working well. And I run there next day, and it told me the true story. So that just shows you how you can get the GDD from each station and pick whatever station that is useful for you. Some talks we are having right now is to hopefully to expand or 8 more weather station into the network, either from your personal weather station or from any organization weather station. We hope to have more ground coverage and make sure we have a second eyes on every regions we are interested to know. Something is missing here, and I think we can expect something to come is currently, if you just go to calculate your current GDD, it didn't give you what's the forecast for the next couple of days, which I think is another important feature to add into here. And we hope to get that sorted out as soon as we can, so you guys can see from today what the GDD looks like for the next 7 days, which is going to be extremely important or useful, especially during April and May, when you try to know how many more days you have to get to 200 GDD, which is the point you should stop applying herbicides there. So a lot of work undergoing, so just stay tuned for that. The other one I want to show you quickly, and I don't know if I have a lot of things to say about this map. This is the soil map of Nova Scotia, and I think it's very, very interesting for research or for your personal use or for your farm management. If you simply just go to any area you want, click on the spot, it shows you right away or with the soil condition for your area or for your field. Might be useful for your application, spraying, research, and anything else. Or even you want to buy a field from somebody, you want to understand what kind of soil you have, they have from that field is also helpful. Okay, so that's what I want to say about this Farm Data Tools platform. I know it's a little bit tricky if you're just starting it, it was confusing, but I encourage you to go back and see all the resources we list on the website. And if you still have trouble, sign up the account or access the website or the platform or use it, just let me know. I can show you quickly as well. Okay. So that's the end of Farm Data Tools, and maybe we can save the question for the end here. I'll just continue what I have. So the third point I want to make today is showing you an example of how I and the growers use the GDD tool to guide their field management this year. So this is one of a station in Cumberland. So we have been tracking from April 1st up to May 15th or 16th here, and that's all the numbers he has from the weather station. As we told everybody back to the last month, we feel like if you can start 150 GDD and then kind of stop around 200 GDD, that's kind of ultimate window for your spring herbicide application. So you can see I kind of highlighted here, this weather station or this area hit 150 around 27th of April, and the 200 GDD kind of like around May 6th. And this grower understand, okay, he has about 7-8 days window in between this slot. And what he did was on April 29th, and he finished every like pre-emergent herbicide in his sprout field. And what is interesting is after he finished and everybody's kind of running back to the field, try to get things done, which he was about a week early and ahead. So that give him a lot of extra time once you get into 173 or 40%, 50% F2, that he can focus on the 409 or any monolinear application. That doesn't, so I think it's a nice thing to see and to know it's working for some growers that ease their stress during the springtime, especially this year. Almost every day is like 30 kilometers per hour wind. I don't know how you guys get all the application done, but just, you know, those anything we can do to make you guys' life easier. That's the purpose. So anyways, I just think, you know, why I saw this, and I think everything is kind of lined up nicely. Quite happy for him, and for anybody who is using that. I hope that's useful for you as well. And certainly like to hear any feedback. I start getting some feedbacks from grower about Hugh. I don't think 173 GDD 40% F2 is working for me, and that's okay. We can look into your data and look at your field and understand what's going on and anything we need to consider. So yeah. Lastly, just an update on this year's plan development. I think I'm still doing okay with my time. Okay. All right. So here's what I think on the crop fields in Nova Scotia. And I don't want to mention the sprout fields because right now technically only very, very few areas or fields should have pre-emergency herbicides put on. So on the crop field side, here's what I saw, and I just show you a separately for maps with slides there, but here just a nice picture to show you, okay, here's what I think where all our crop fields are. Now in the start show, you're at almost the end of early flowers and getting to the beginning 5-10, you know, maybe 15% of bloom there already. And early fields in Cumberland, you are also looking the same time. And the rest of central fields, you are kind of looking at around the cluster, you know, stage or early flower stage. And English and Cape Breton, they are still looking, you know, getting into 40%, 50%. But overall, for the whole province, as I just said last night in the blog, we are under you know, monolinear infection period of time, and it's a critical time this week and potentially getting into early next week. Depends on if the shower stops in time. Yeah. Okay. And based on that information, I kind of have some thinking there, and then some of the things are contributed by other researchers and other colleagues. They provide a lot of good data to me. So something I feel like is affecting our spring plant development, I would say, based on where you are. Like if you're in the down south shore, definitely you have an earlier spring in the rest of the province. But if you have any fields that is so close to the water or warm, you're also going to have almost the same timing of development like out in the South Shore. But things will slow down for those fields once we get into the end of May and beginning of June. Here, another thing to consider and to start thinking is soil temperature. Here is a very nice graph showing you over the last 3-4 months what our winter soil temperature looks like, and you can see we only have probably around the beginning of February where we got that very cold 2 days that you have a little bit lower soil temperature, but overall all the winter months soil temperature are about average. And once we get into say May 15th here, you can see the red line is almost going to be almost the same trend as the blue line. The blue line is from last year. If you remember what happened last year is once we pass 40%, 50%, F2, F3, then we get into bloom like very, very quick, like almost a week or less than a week, and everything get into bloom. So that's something that I think we should be watching, and we don't really have too much time because once we pass this week, the rain stops, temperature pick up, I think the bloom is going to start really showing. And you can see the red line is almost similar-ish to the blue line from last year, but overall we are all about our 10 years average in Nova Scotia. Something to really think about, and maybe this is more for somebody like me or somebody's working on a GDD need to consider and make sure we consider all those factors into the work. The other thing is our precipitation. So as you know, it was pretty dry in April, and I can show you a picture in a second. So this picture just shows you we have 20 millimeters of rain out of the monthly average of 74 millimeters in April in Nova Scotia. So that's just tells you how dry it is, and that's definitely going to affect many things, not just plant development, also our our herbicide efficacy. When it's pretty dry, you don't really have any movement in the soil that the plants or weeds tend to don't pick up those chemicals into their body, right? So, and the next picture just here to show you that's what's happening in April. So all our wild blueberry production regions are under moderate drought or at the moderate dry. So I'll be more concerned Cumberland County or anywhere like part of Colchester County, because this is tend to be our largest blueberry grower region, production region, and we tend to continue to get some dryness in this area. But something to watch. Okay, before I finish, I do have a few reminders, and I will just split that into crop fields and sprout fields. So we are still under the infection timing. So our plant stage is still under susceptible period of time until you see most of our fields have the like early flower stage. Otherwise, if you are still under these 4 stem stages, you are definitely need to keep track of your weather and make sure you have your records of your pollen or something else from the first or second application, and just kind of play around the weather and make sure you give plant protections going into this week and early next week. Okay, as I just mentioned, I feel like we might have another early bloom season, and because it's dry and high temperature in the soil. So I would say any growers, if you are working with any beekeepers, start to kind of talking to them and tell them, feel like it's very soon they should have the bees ready for you guys. The third point is about crystal in crop fields. I know some growers, they start using crystal in crop fields. They tend like to put that a little bit late, but I just want to remind everybody, crystal has 60 days pre-harvest interval. Just kind of remember this, don't put that on too late. And frost. So we are walking into a frost season because our crop are getting into the bloom timing. So this is very, very, very critical. And I will start to post some information on the frost, or if any frost events occur the night before, I will give you guys updates on the from the weather station. So here just a very quick numbers to show you. We don't really have concerns in other blueberry stages. It's just mostly on the full bloom timing. So if we are getting say minus 2.2 degree for overnight or a couple hours, that's pretty bad for the flowers. But that also depends how long or duration of the low temperatures. So we just need to play by year, season by season on the frost side. Okay, on the sprout fields, and I'm sorry this is too wordy in this slide. Try to tell you guys as much as I learned from the last couple weeks. So I would say any fields, I wouldn't feel comfortable to tell growers you still have window for your pre-emergency. But if you are in the late field and you already check your field, you don't see anything emerge, then I would say you still have a little couple days to kind of work on that. But if you are thinking for Chikara Ignite, I would say you'd be better not doing anything right now. If you are trying to put down Chikara Ignite for your hair fescue, right now the other option in your sprout field is actually doing option and to adding your prism or something. If you still have autumn in your shade, you can add autumn into there. And others are okay if you still didn't get your Velpar or Spartan on, and if you feel looking like quite early for a development of emergency, I say you still have couple days of window there. And the next couple herbicides for you to consider, that will be including option and prism, or we call it the new autumn. I think it's okay to apply this week. So the purpose of option is really to try to get the hair fescue, if that's the you are targeting, is to get them to stop growing for a season, so you don't get them to produce seed head. They don't spread into other parts of the field. And if you are thinking for your venture or post ultra and for grass control, I think after this week's couple shower and rain, those grasses should be green up enough for you to work on that. If you are thinking for clay stock, especially for golden rose, I think we kind of mentioned it, and Scott kind of put that numbers out, and I kind of will give you a try this year. Try to use 400 GDD or around 20 centimeters of golden rose. See if that's doing any good or better control, and you just put it on in the previous years randomly or whenever you can. So try to see if this is going to apply or be useful for you. The last point, I got lots of questions about curve when they applied last fall, and when we went back to the field, the question I get asked as well is, well, it didn't seem to be working. And I kind of learned that, and then thanks for a lot of information I received. You kind of want to wait until this time of year, because first time I checked was like almost the end of April, and that's still too early for you to see if hair fescue is brown up or die after curve application. So this month or this week, I start to go back to those fields and then see it's working, and the grasses of hair fescue are turning brown or dead. But surprisingly, there's a little bit of green tissue down there. So I think they are still working their way up, just because we don't have much moisture or water content in the soil. So, and yeah, the other thing, I think last year a lot of growers have trouble with their moss and chateau supply, but I did see a bunch of fields they get applied with chateau, and looks pretty good, to be honest, and very brown and looks pretty nice. Yeah, those just a couple, some thoughts and some reminders for you guys. But anything I missed or I forget to say, you're all gonna get weekly blog post or newsletter from blog and from myself, so you always can go back to check those information. And I don't expect you guys to remember everything. I will share this PowerPoint slide with Pete, so he can share that with you guys through the website. Yeah, so that's about it.
Great, thanks, Hugh. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
You've been working on another project too, looking at historical growing degree days. Is that right? And basically how it is using Environment Canada weather station data, I think.
Yeah.
And basically the the growing season has been moving closer to the end of April
Yeah,
compared to say 30 years ago.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. That's true. And then we are also seeing that we have a longer growing season.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think most growers would agree with that. That where as we get into the fall, we don't get those cold nights and frosts in September like we used to. But I think from a management standpoint, the interesting thing is to seeing how that is. And I think is there going to be a webinar coming up on that?
So we have a webinar back to March, and it was recorded and is processed. I'm just about to tell everybody that here's the link.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it's there. I'm glad you asked this question because that's another thing I'm trying to do this fall winter is some kind of cool idea in my mind is you can see this map of Nova Scotia with all our weather station and all our fields. So, and I talked to the specialist I work with from NSDA is if we can use all 55 weather stations 2023 season data, we might be able to just classify stages into early field or late or middle, something like that. So because it depends on when this station hit say 200. So
right.
By tracking that, we'll be able to see where we see the stations or fields are typically early in the spring or late. So something like that, it's just a good understanding of all our fields and better understand our climates. Yeah.
Excellent. And I think it's really over the last 30 years, it's that sort of that monolinear season is creeping closer and closer to the 1st of May or late
last week of April.
The last week of April, even. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We have the anomaly years where it goes late again, but I think on average, we're seeing that shift closer and closer.
Yeah. So if you when I classify, say, here as early field, they are looking, so this area looking at the 3rd week of April, they will start their first monolinear spray, and this area looking at the last week, usually the last midweek of April, they would have their first application on. Right.
Which is very early based on traditional timings. Yeah.
So I think this would be cool. We can just keep working on that and hopefully bring you guys a nicer map than something I just put out there randomly. Yeah.
Is there any other questions from anybody online here?
Oh, is there any like specific interest data or things that you guys think will be interesting to see or for me to look into it and we can report back?
Okay, not hearing anything.
Go
ahead.
Just had a quick question for you, and it's not really related to the stuff, but I'm just looking at the farm data map, and I know you wouldn't know this, but it seems like 5 Islands is the hot spot today. Everywhere else is below 10, and it's coming in at 21 degrees.
So something is wrong with the 5 Islands weather station. It hasn't updated the data since May 12th.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't so I don't know if you guys can still see the Cape Breton Maisonette. If you see all the points here, if they are in color, means they are working. You can see some of station tend to not working and then they start working again. So it's in the 5 Island right now is not working.
Ah, okay.
So a lot of things that if you want to know if this station is working properly, Cape Breton Maisonette would be a good spot to go. You just see it easily. But if you just need some other data, there's other ways to do. Yeah.
So somebody might have hit it with a tractor or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I think, and you are right. That field I went to there, and that station is in the middle of the field.
Okay.
Could be. Yeah.
Okay, so like I say, I have been recording this, and we will post this up on the YouTube channel. And then Hugh, if you want to send that PDF or something along, we can circulate that as well.
Yeah. There we go.